Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to share how to get the most of your influencer marketing campaigns. A little bit of introduction again. My name is Wen and I'm the founder and CEO of SushiVid. SushiVid is a Malaysian-based company. We are 4.5 years old, and over time, since actually this is only last year. Last year in 2019, we made about 10,000 branded contents for our brands. We've worked with about 1,500 brands, and 2,000 influencers were paid last year, and unique influencers. So our platform itself has about 12,000 influencers, but the ones who actually really got the job and got paid is about 2,000 unique influencers. We hope by the end of 2020, we will have 4,000 unique influencers paid. All of this is done through my team of 20 people, at which I owe my life to. Without them, I wouldn't be able to execute my mission and vision. And I'm very, very excited to, I want to thank them, and I'm very excited to share with you about today's topic. So this is part of a 3-video series it's part of the brand series, and I'm only going to talk about how to get the most of your influencer content, which is number 9. Okay, it's important for me to really focus on this because I don't want, you really don't want to, you really need to nail down your reasons. You really need to nail down your objectives, certain things before you actually see any results at all. So I want to spend this particular video just focusing on how to get the most of your influencer marketing content. Of course, take a moment to thank all the brands that have supported us so far. Really, really thank you. Without the opportunity, that you've given us, a small startup like us, we wouldn't be where we are today. And hopefully that we can grow together. And also for everybody who's watching right now, I sincerely hope that all of you will benefit from this video. Do leave me a comment and feedback, because we're always aspiring to improve and be better. Do subscribe as well if you found our channel to be useful for you. And let's get started. So how to choose an influencer? Okay, this is a really good question, right? A lot of brands, when I talk to, the first thing, when they choose influencer is like, oh, the bigger the better. The bigger, the cheaper, the better. So like if you get one person for a million followers for 1,000 ringgit, versus ringgit is a Malaysian currency. Okay, so or you get a million influencer with 1 million followers but only 100 ringgit. Obviously you will say, well, 100 ringgit is value for money, right? But the first thing I ask is, how credible is this influencer, right? Everybody can have a channel, everybody can buy fake followers, everybody can, and it's really not expensive to buy fake followers. I mean, we have, because of the nature of my business, I actually am aware of all this, stuff, and we actually do notice influencers. For example, like we actually track our influencers. Ever since they sign up to our platform, we actually track their follower count. And if the follower count is very sporadic, we actually question the credibility. And of course, if it's a very sudden jump in their followers, right, we start to think like, okay, was there a special content that came out during that time, that could spark that virality? Otherwise, there shouldn't be such a jump, because if the content is just an average content, and it cannot escape the Facebook algorithm, right? It cannot escape the unless a lot of people started sharing that content through like WhatsApp and every other chatting facility, right? It's not possible for you to create that talkability if your content is just an average content. And so when there's a sudden jump in the follower count and the content was just nothing extraordinary, then we really start to question whether this influencer is credible. We also definitely want to measure an influencer based on engagement rate and reach, not just based on follower count. What that means is like, of course, if you have 1 million followers, right, your engagement 1% is a lot more people than somebody that has 10,000 followers but has 10% engagement. Okay, just an average for you. Like I said, we cannot escape the Facebook algorithm. Facebook chooses at any point in time when you scroll the number of people that it can reach. So it's not possible for a specific influencer to have extraordinary reach just by posting, just by virtue of posting, because it's allocated. The amount of reach per person gets is allocated. And we cannot cheat that, right? That's why I said it has to come from unless that content was really extraordinary, otherwise it will just go with the normal flow. normal algorithm, right? And the engagement rate of influencers, some are higher than others, right? So that is highly dependent on the influencer's efforts. For example, if this particular influencer puts in effort to reply comments, they talk to the followers, that's a different level of engagement versus somebody who just posts and then, just post and then ignore the comments, right? Or somebody who actively engage with their followers, not only followers, but also people that they follow. So for example, how you can be more engaging or engaged is to start doing the engagement yourself. So go and leave comments on other people's channels. So when influencers themselves comment on other influencers' channels, their engagements are higher because they are not only appearing on their own feed, they are appearing on other people's feed as a comment as well. So when you choose influencer, choose someone who has a high engagement rate, and how you measure that is, how responsive they are on their comments, and also how active they are on other people's channels as well. Of course, cost is a factor, right? We don't want to choose somebody who is okay. So it's a bell curve. It's a bell curve, right? There will, in every category, there will be influencers that are 80% of them are in the normal category, so their price is in the average. But there will be the anomalies that are like, oh, this super classy, billionaire daughter, right? That's not in dire need of the money, and she only promotes the Louis Vuittons, right? So obviously she will be in the higher range category, which the cost is very high, or the super, the very affordable category, which means that they still don't know how to price themselves, meaning that they are pricing as though they are in a lower tier category. So the cost is a factor. You want to find, of course, we all aspire to find the hidden gems before they hit the normal rate, and we want to avoid the super expensive, right? But the hidden gems is where a platform like us would help, because we are the ones that track the influencer follower count, right? So we are the ones who know who's actually coming up and coming, and we'll be able to tell you like, okay, I think you should invest in this person just because he or she is actually up and coming, versus if you try to find these influencers on your own, you wouldn't know the cost as well. And a lot of influencers until today, even for a company like ours, influencer pricing can change, just based on that we had one influencer was so ridiculous, like we decided not to use them anymore. We were negotiating for a campaign, a YouTube video, in 2017, end 2017, and we got the deal for the client, and the influencer at turn 2018, they doubled their price, even when their follower count didn't double. The video quality didn't double. Inflation of the country certainly didn't double. But just by turn of a country, they doubled the cost for us, which we thought were really ridiculous. So sometimes you should try to reach out to platforms like us, even if you don't use our facility, it's okay. But because we are the ones that have the cumulative data on pricing that will give you averagely it gives you a better rate. And that's why we are there, right? I mean, our solution is there because we want to provide, crowdsource all this information so that everybody makes a more informed decision, and the pricing is more transparent throughout. Of course, you want influencers that are easily reached. So this is one of the issues that you don't know when you don't handle influencers, is that a lot of them have a lot of people reaching out to them all the time. So when you don't have this relationship with these influencers, they may not respond to you as quickly. Sometimes they even blue tick you, or after you engage them, they drop out of the campaign, and you have no idea how to reach them, and they already hold your client's products. What happens then, right? So again, this comes with experience. Like, we have influencers that we've worked with. Sometimes we don't, in every campaign, we don't put too many new influencers just because there is risk that some of them don't respond. So usually we try to go like, with 90% influencers that we've used before, and then 10% new influencers. So that's for us, because we do campaigns at scale. Like, every month we engage a few hundred influencers at a time. So we're able to do that at scale. Whereas, if you just say you're a brand and you're only doing 10, 20 influencers at a time, you will run into the risk of influencers who disappear from you. Okay, reputation is important. You would want to talk to you want to see the brands that the influencer has worked with as well, because there is a chance that if they have worked with other brands and they've had no issues working with other brands, then you would have less issues with them. But again, it's hard to say. Sometimes The influencers managers can be the problem, because sometimes the influencer manager favors certain agencies where they would deliberately put a unfair price on certain to some certain agency versus the other agency, which we have seen in our country, and it's very upsetting because they are not putting us on level playing field compared to other agencies. But yeah, sometimes the reputation part is not the influencer, it could also be their manager, and something that you should take note of. So you should definitely look at the influencers' past collaborations to know, what are the brands that you are going to be associated with, just for your brand, what are the other brands that you would be associated with if you use this particular influencer. So how to get the most out of your influencer marketing? Number one, I would suggest highly to work with micro influencers for authenticity. So of course, earlier I said that, if you get a person with a million followers and you get 1% reach versus somebody that has 10,000 followers and 10% reach, which one, will give you more authenticity, right? Of course, the bigger one gives you more reach, but the smaller one is more word of mouth. It's more casual. It's and So at the beginning, of course, you would want to work with more micro influencers as well, because you don't want to, at the beginning of your campaign, straight away cast your net on one particular influencer and take all your risk on one. I would rather, if you're a brand, I would rather you work with 5 smaller influencers and then test certain results, and then pick one category and expand and pick another 5 influencers within this particular demographic, rather than just use one big influencer and spend all that money. Pick smaller groups of influencers so you can test what markets work, and test your objectives as well. Because I don't know your objective, I wouldn't know, how many tests you can do and what sort of test is good for you. Also, working with micro influencers gives you it's much closer to the purchase intent. For example, if I'm somebody with 1 million followers, right? The way that I explain things may not be as as girl next door compared to a micro influencer. If let's say I'm a micro influencer and majority of micro influencers are more niche. So for example, in Malaysia, and in the context of Malaysia, right, it's very difficult to find a cooking influencer that has 1 million followers. Whereas you can find a lot of 10,000 follower cooking influencers. Or if you're looking for like gardening influencers, you can find about maybe 10 influencers that have maybe 50,000 followers that specialize in gardening. But 1 million followers for gardening alone is something you cannot find. So these micro influencers are very useful for this kind of authentic sharing, where it's very niche, it's very close to their specialization. Of course, I already touched a little bit on this, but of course, you need to test and measure each campaign. So use multiple different influencers. So for Malaysian context, we would use some campaigns, we will choose like maybe 50% Chinese audience, 50% Malay audience. This is the 2 big ethnic groups in Malaysia. Or we will choose 30% Chinese audience, 40% Malay audience, and 30% Indian audience, just because we are a multiracial country, and that's what I love about Malaysia. Go Malaysia. So anyway, so you would test the demographic, you can test the gender, you can test the age group, you can test the type of content, right? You can test videos versus normal Instagram posts versus all stories. You can test languages. There's so many things you can test, or the gender of the influencer, gender of their audience, timing of posting. These are things that you can definitely test. And once you identify, for example, a certain category seems to work better, then you double down on that. Also, you can then consider engaging these particular influencers long term, because they bring a long term return on investment, right? The third thing I would suggest is to hand the reins to the content creator. A lot of brands, they don't understand influencer marketing. They assume influencer marketing is like branding, oh, you must make sure my logo is of a certain pixel away from the edge, and don't put my logo on a certain background. These are very rigid ways, or like even fonts, like please use certain fonts. Don't dictate the influencer to do it in a certain font, to do it your branding guide, because then might as well you just put it on the television, because that's what advertisements for. The influencers, when they do it, it's their own style, because their users identify with them as their style. The influencers love them because their content is authentic and is unique to their own voice. So let them put the logo where they want to. Let them talk about your brand the way they want to. So to give you an example, we had a facial mask brand. Asians are big into facial masks. So we had this facial mask brand that came to us and got our influencers to review the facial mask, right? So at the end, after the influencer peel off the mask, the influencer said, oh, the leftover residue, you can just tap it into your skin. The client was so particular. The client said, this is serum. This is the product on the skin, the leftover is serum. It's not residue. But I mean, I'm a normal human, and when I watched the video, residue sounds about right as well. So these are little things that we realize with our brands, and this rigidity takes away character from our influencers. So some influencers, if they prefer to talk in a certain style, and they are and that's their way, and they use certain words, then so be it, because that is the way they are. The moment you try to dictate certain words that they use, it changes their language, it changes their style. And trust me, the audience is very sensitive. The moment the audience feels a bit of fakeness, the influencer loses their credibility as well. Fourth thing is to have a compelling and engaging story. So when you engage influencers, be sure to think about the storyline and work with the influencers as well, because the influencers know their audience best. But think of stories to share. Don't just look at influencers as a way to sell products, but share their experience. Like when I talk about, for example, I just happen to have this on my table, right? This Laneige lip slipping mask. I will talk about it, and this is, but in no way is an endorsement. I'm just talking about it like to show you an illustration how influencers should talk about it. I would actually say that this particular product is really, really good. I bought it at the airport because I was going to fly home, and it's going to be an 8-hour flight from Australia, and I didn't want my lip to be peeling because the air is just too dry, and they happen to be selling that on duty free, and I got it. So this Laneige sleeping mask, it's very good because it really, really moisturizes. And if you feel like you have a blister coming up, this is like the perfect product to just put on your lips. However, it is very sticky. So if you do put a layer, put a really thin layer. If you do, if you're a side sleeper like me, you might want to put a towel, because it sticks to your pillow, and it makes you just may have to change your pillowcase much faster rather than the usual maybe once a week, because this product is really quite sticky. So I will talk about it that way. Tell them where I bought it from, why I got it, and if I use it, these are some of the things that I would do. I mean, some brands may feel like, oh, you shouldn't say that my product is sticky, but that is the reality of the product, and you want to tell the truth, because if the influencer doesn't say these kind of things, that when the people buy, their expectations are not met as well. Okay, engage their audience for the content created. Okay, so this is another trick, right? When using influencers, it's not a one-way street. You don't want the influencer to just convey your message, and that's it. You can always use the influencers to create competitions, to create conversations. Ask them like, hey, just back to this example. So I just did a short review about this product. Let me know if you have used it. How do you like it, or how do you handle your pillow problem when you use this particular product? Get them to engage their audience so that the content can create conversation. And this is also the unique part about using influencers, right? What TV and newspapers cannot achieve is that it's very one-sided, whereas the influencer is very much closer to the audience and the consumer. So let them create that conversation for you. Build good relationship with influencers. This is really something that a lot of brands find difficult, especially like for us, let us deal with the relationship for you, because when we deal with the influencers, we deal with them at scale, meaning that I'm dealing with 400-500 influencers a month. And these 4-5 influencers that we deal with, they are working on different brands. So if you're only one brand and you have maybe 5 influencers, I feel that you could really leverage on a platform like ours, just because, and I'm not saying, use my platform, you can use any other platform, but you should leverage on a platform because they have better relationship and reputation with the influencers. Like in our case, our agency or enterprise model, like our team really has good relationship with the influencers. We can, because we got them for campaign A, B, and C for brand A, B, and C, brand D can get a better price, and brand A, when they come back the next time, could get an even better price because of these others. So it's like a crowdsourced, package price, because we are able to get them for multiple campaigns and not just one campaign. We're not negotiating one campaign. So this wraps up my session. I'm Wen from the SV group. So together we have SushiVid, GoShella, and Confirm Plus Shop. So everything you need to market to millennials, from the content creation portion to distribution and sales, we got your back. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of shameless promotion here. So SushiVid is a platform that helps you to work with influencers on a cost per post on an advertising model. GoShella, if you already created your YouTube video, you already created content, and you just want to get to disseminate the information, amplify your reach, you can use our sharing mechanism. It's $1 a share if you want to. And Confirm Plus Shop is a commission-based influencer marketing. So therefore, you pay only when there's a sale. So talk to us. My name is Wen. This is my phone number, and that's my email. If you are calling me from outside Malaysia, it's +6012 235 8324. My email is wen@sushivid.com. You can reach out to me anytime. And thank you so much. Please stay safe, stay healthy. I wish you guys a good night. And if you are, going out tomorrow, please wear a mask. And thank you so much. And please subscribe. Bye.